Alright, YouTube, happy Labor Day. Hope everybody's having a really great day today. I got some chores out of the way. Had to go up to the river and do my my last time changing filters up there. We got some houses that my wife manages up on the river up here at the lake where we live, and about every 3 weeks through the summer I'll change filters for her. Got that done and mowed my neighbor, who is also my in-laws, mowed their yard for them. I try to take care of them as best that I can. They're getting up there in the years, and anything we can do to help them out is my pleasure, for sure. It's one of the reasons we actually bought this property, was to be next door to them. We were blessed and very fortunate that it was available, and it was a really good price too. I got a really good deal on this. But anyway, so this video is a tagged video. I was tagged by Sergeant J's RC Adventure. Check out his site, it's really cool. From what I understand, he started out, or he has done mainly LSTs when he first started in the hobby, and that's really cool. I'm glad that he kept one. That was, as y'all know, and if you don't know, my very first Nitro was an LST right here. It's the XXL1, and she's still badass. I mean, she's a great truck, a great platform, very durable. I'll never get rid of this truck. I know I was thinking about selling it, but I'm glad it didn't pan out. I'm glad that gentleman did not show up. I guess he didn't want to pay the money or whatever, but I took it as a sign that she's going to stay with me forever. So also I have one more LST. I had 8 LSTs that I built. Like I've explained in past videos, I would take them all busted up, not run them. Some of them just chassis, like this one, all it was a partial chassis and one shock hanging off of it. So I rebuilt that one as well. This one's still a work in progress. This one has the Dynamite .28 that came on my 8T RTR. We've only run 2 break-in tanks in it, so we need to get that finished up. The only thing is you can't run a starter box on these. The chassis won't allow it, but these are still bad to the bone monster trucks. It's my favorite monster truck out there as far as Nitro. Now there are some electric ones that are pretty cool. I've had all the electric Traxxas, the X-Max, the E-Max, I've done 4 E-Revos, 2 of them I did for speed runs. My X-Max, I had it completely decked out with the MX Badlands and the Pro Line piggybacks, and you name it. Had the LEDs on the front and in the rear. They were badass, man. I gotta say, people, the electric RC hobby is just as cool as the Nitro RC hobby. I just don't have any right now. I went through kind of a phase where I got rid of them. But I probably had about 20-25 different Traxxas electric vehicles. Now I am thinking about getting an associated e-buggy. I think they're really cool, and I've been checking them out. But before I do that, and I'll tell y'all, my winter project is going to be, people, is going to be a 5th scale. I've got some feelers out there, talking to some people about it, for what the best platform would be in 5th scale for a newbie to the 5th scale hobby. I've been looking at the Rovens and the King Motors, the 5T. What I really wanted to do in the beginning was a 5B, because you can build it. But I'm pretty sure they've been discontinued. I'm not 100% sure about that, but I think they have. But if I could get my hands on a 5B, I definitely would pick one up. And then we're gonna do a really cool motor in my 5th scale winter project. So stay tuned, guys. That's to come. Hopefully before Christmas I'll be able to pick up my platform, and I'm not going to rush through it. That's something that I'll build through the winter and and hopefully by next summer she'll be ready to go. But I still got a long ways to go in 8 scale Nitro. So back to the point of the video. I was tagged by Sergeant J's RC Adventure. Check out his channel. It's got some really cool stuff. I appreciate the shout out from you, Sergeant J. I do try to be positive in the hobby. I do try to, I mean, it's hard for me to teach people because I'm still learning myself, but things that I do know for sure, definitely pass that along in my videos for you guys. But shout out Sergeant J. I appreciate that, and I appreciate you tagging me. So a couple of the hobbies that I'm interested in, obviously, let me run through my platforms real quick for you guys. Right now, this is my #1 hobby. We've got the Techno NT 48.3. This is my latest vehicle, a kit that I built a while back. I started to do a build series on it, but it just got so boring, guys. I just ran through it. But if anybody is building this kit, you can go back in my videos and you'll see that I probably about 3/4 of it I built on camera. So anything that you need, go back and check it out. I did everything by the book on the manual on this as far as building it. We've got the LRP .32 in here with the 9886 and the I think it's the 41031 header in there. I did have an issue with when I first fired this up, after I broke in the LRP and put it on the ground, I had one of my outdrive cups, I think here in the front center diff, the front diff came loose. I Loctited it, but I guess I didn't have it already seated down on the platform there, and when that happened, it messed up the center diff, so I had to order that whole center diff. By the way, my hobby shop, they don't have a lot of techno stuff, but one thing they have are replacement gears for the differential, center, front, and rear. All the planetary gears in there. So, and some other stuff, and I'll probably pick that stuff up just to have it on hand. But this is my newest, my #1 platform right now that is getting most of my attention. My Savox Black high voltage servo took a crap on me, so I sent it back. Savox was really good about it. They have to approve your application and all that. Once they approve it, you send it back. So it's on the way back. They've already replaced it and sent it to me. So hopefully tomorrow or the next day we can get this bad boy back up and running. Next is the MBX5, the Mugen. I picked up this platform for $100. Which came with this V-Spec right here, the Max 21 VZB, which I completely rebuilt. Go back on my videos. New crank, new bearings, new rod, new piston, new sleeve, retaining clips, you name it. I rebuilt this engine. I've done my idle tanks and my heat cycle, so maybe this afternoon we're gonna put it on the ground. That's why I'm getting my stuff ready over here. But anyway, I'm slowly going through this MBX5. She doesn't have any rust anywhere, and but once I started breaking it down, there's no rust, but she's really dirty, so we're gonna be redoing it. There was no fluid in the differential at all. And I'm redoing the shocks. Already did the rear shocks, but we're going to try and keep this as stock as possible. I tell you what, the MBX5 is a really nice, really badass platform. All the CNC machined aluminum parts on it. It's just a really great buggy. Charging up my glow igniter for later on. We'll see how many minutes we got left. We're good, people. Alright, so my very first buggy, so the very first vehicle I had after my LSTs, once I started moving into my next level, was the Hyper 7 TQ Sport. Now I've done a lot of upgrades to it. We've got the Hyper SS tank in there, which it will fit. I've got a video showing y'all how to fit, you know, the fitment on this. No problem there. You have a lot more capacity. I redid all the differentials with 50 front, 50 rear, and 100 in the center. I've got the CNC aluminum steering knuckles in there. New servos, the Habao servos, they're pretty good. They've lasted. I had one go out, so I went ahead and replaced these. And I had one of my Spectrums go out, so the other one I put in my 8T for now. But this week I'm going to be ordering about 4 new servos. I think I'm going to go stick with the JXs here and see how those work for me. But a lot of upgrades here. I've got the SS shocks. I pulled the stock 16mm shocks off of it and put the SS on there. They work really well. Alright guys, so I only use 2 controllers right now. The FST4S is down. I need to see what the deal is with this receiver. The power lead, it rocks in there and it makes it intermittent, so sometimes it cuts out on you, so I need to figure that out. A lot of, you know, I don't have a lot of MIP tools, but I have what I need here. All my fluids, my paints. This is my Novorossi Rex Legend 28.8, which tomorrow's going in the mailbox to Rick at RB Mods. We're gonna go ahead and get that modded. Shout out Muggy Maniac for giving me the heads up and leading me in the right direction on that engine. Shout out Muggy Maniac. And you are a maniac, bro. 100%. These are all my stockers. These were my first Sportsman. I like to call them Sportsman type nitros. They all have back plates. This was my first back plate engine that I used in the Hyper. And she was a screamer for a stalker. And then my hot Hyper Maxstar 28 right there came in the Hyper. This is one of my best nitros here. It's a .21. I'm contemplating getting it modded as well. It's the OS Speed Adam Drake Edition B21. Even stock, guys, this engine screams. She's badass. And then of course my Losi 454. Another badass RTR engine right there. All my engines still run. They're not all dialed in really, but they are usable. My LRP ZR30X right here. This is probably my oldest engine. And then of course my 8T, guys. My RTR, my Losi 8T. Got the Novorossi Rex Legend. Running the 9886 and the 41031 header also. Got my outerwears on it. This is the one that I need. I've got a Habao servo in there right now, but it was lagging. When I let off the acceleration, it would continue to accelerate. It wasn't closing good enough. And it was because the servo had a lot of play in it. It was rocking. We did some upgrades on this. Of course, we got Badlands on my truggies. We upgraded these shocks. They're not the 4.0 shocks. They're aftermarket, but they look good. I had to change out the springs because they were too stiff, but they're functioning really well. I upgraded to all the 4.0 turnbuckles, so we have adjustability. I did my top chassis plate, aluminum, and my King Heads front chassis brace. I still haven't got my rear chassis brace, King Heads, but I'll probably order that tomorrow. And then my latest upgrade on it was the Gen 2 wing mount, which gives you the ability to either screw down your wing or use these locking clips. First time I ever seen these locking clips. They're pretty cool. So those are my whips, guys. All my bodies. I got a lot of parts here. Chingo's parts for the LST, but I've got parts for all my whips. Got some brand new DE Racing rims. I'm going to order some Badlands this week as well. And some other things going on. All my my fuel here. My Bones Brew, which is for this Novorossi here. And then of course my Byron's 3011. My Bones Brew is 3010. I think that's the only way it comes, but I used some the other day, and it's pretty good fuel as well. It's a VP product, just with synthetic castor. I had used VP for the longest, and then was kind of convinced by other people. Shout out John Bodegel, shout out Muggy Maniac, and all you other guys that continued to push me to get the Byron's. Byron's is badass, I agree. Hail to the Byron's. But anyway, guys, I only got 19 minutes on this thing. I can only record 19 minutes 52 seconds on here, but we're still good. So another hobby that I have, guys, is I am in the moving business, and I like to collect pellet guns and BB guns. So a lot of times when I'm moving people, they'll have this type of stuff, and you know, it's stuck up in a closet somewhere and they just want to get rid of it. This right here, guys, is a 30 caliber pellet gun. It's the most powerful pellet gun I think that you can get. It's called the Black Ops. It's pretty cool. It's heavy as heck though. My grandson, he loves to shoot my pellet guns, but he can't pick that one up. I got my love for pellet guns when I was a kid. My grandfather had this is a 22 caliber right here. My grandfather had a Benjamin pump, which I feel is the best pellet gun ever made. And my grandma would pay us $25 for every blackbird that we shot, because they would get in and tear up her garden. But and I like to fish. I got a lot of my fishing poles. You know, we live up here at the lake, but I really don't ever get a chance to go out. This reel right here, this Garcia reel right here, was my mother's reel. She's had it since the 60s. It's always been taken care of, and it was passed down to me. It's a Garcia Ambassador. You know, and then your normal Zebcos and stuff like that. So fishing. Pellet guns. I like shooting too. I like regular guns. I've got a few firearms. You know, we won't go into that, but I've got some. Maybe one day I'll show you all that stuff. But more pellet guns here. So that kind of stuff, guys. And a lot of it I get off of moving jobs. You know, people that just don't want it anymore. And that kind of will segue into my next hobby. The next thing that I like to do is when I'm on moving jobs, a lot of time we'll move people that have been in their house 40, 50, 60, 70 years in their family, and we're going through people's attics and their garages, and I love to find stuff, old cool stuff, you know, like for instance, where is it? I can't dig it out, but there's an old canister, you know, like a gasoline can that is super old, and just stuff like that, man, that you can't find anymore. Like this, my family owned an ice cream dairy, 1945 to 1975, but Dairyland was a company that was here local in San Antonio. So I found this in a customer's attic one day. It's an old, probably 1940s, 1930s clock. You know, Dairyland milk. Somebody painted it kind of pink on the outside, but I need to fix that. But stuff like that, guys. I like to collect. I like to, I guess you could call it, pick through people's things, obviously with their permission. But you know, that's just one of the things that I like to do. So my RCs, my pellet guns, picking. You know, antique stuff. I like antique furniture, things like that. But right now, the hobby that I love the most is RC. Anything related to RC. And I probably will get that associated E-Truggy. I want to get into some electric stuff as well. I miss that. Electric's cool. I like it. But right now, it's all about Nitro, 1/8 scale Nitro, and moving into next level modded engines and things like that. So I'm about to run out of time, guys. I love being positive. I love trying to be a role model and a good influence on people. So real quick, One of the guys I want to tag is Nitro Byrd.